Before we get the show started, big announcement. EarthX 2025 tickets are now live. Join 4,000 other attendees, including prime ministers, ambassadors, UN associates, Fortune 500 CEOs, media personalities, all for 4 days of an amazing conference with panels, speakers, presentations, breakout rooms, calls to action, networking. Basically, I went there this past year and it was one of the best events I've ever been to. We will be hosting one full day of the event with a focus on the future of sustainability in business. If you're interested in speaking or sponsoring, contact me, Dylan Welch here. Still have a few speaking spots available. If you're not and you just want to attend and meet amazing people, get inspired, be sure to register today. Anyway, let's get this show started. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Green Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Welch with green.org. Awesome guest today. We're going to be talking about some of my favorite things. Really, everybody's favorite things is travel, right? Who doesn't love to travel? Who doesn't love to go experience new places? And our guest today has been able to build a business that combines not only travel, but also traveling sustainably and being more conscious about the impact we have as we're jet setting around the world and experiencing all these different cultures and languages and things. And that's something that's very important as we become a very global community. You know, we're all connected, whether that's through friends, relationships, business, internationally more than ever. And because of that, it opens up opportunities to go see new places. And while we do that, we have to be conscious of our traveling experience. So I'm excited to introduce Joy Martinello, the founder of Wild Nectar Immersive Travel Collection, as our guest today. Joy, thank you so much for being here.
Hey there, Dylan. Thank you so much for having me. It's just great to be here.
Yeah, so we got a lot to talk about, but let's start off with just explain a little bit to our audience what Wild Nectar Immersive Travel Collection is.
Dylan, travel generates 8% of all CO2. Travel is a luxury. It's not something that we have to do. It's something that we love to do. So in order to keep doing it, we have to find a way to bring travel into balance with the environment. And that's why I started Wild Nectar. We just have to look more closely at the kinds of travel that we're doing and the resources that we're using and the CO2 that we're generating. Wild Nectar was started during the dark days of the pandemic. I had been working in the travel business for 19 years, and I was trying to figure out what I could do that would make a positive impact. I'd worked in adventure travel, I'd worked in management, and then I'd been recently designing polar expeditions. But I realized that all the kinds of travel that I was offering was pretty traditional, and I had a lot of questions about how sustainable it really was. And because travel is a luxury, I just feel really strongly that I wanted to do something. I wanted to use my powers for good, if you will. So out of the pandemic came this idea to start Wild Nectar. We have a fantastic sustainability expert, Bronwyn Warwick, who's both in vision and well-building credentialed. And Bronwyn has developed a comprehensive assessment system that has 3 different tiers. And this is the way that we assess what our suppliers are actually doing on the ground. We only work with operators that are implementing sustainability plans, and then we have a way of assessing them via publicly available information, via our in-depth eco questionnaire, which is proprietary. Really excited about that, and also via on-site assessments, being able to go on the trips, see what the operators are actually doing, and then we assign an eco score to every trip we sell. So when you travel with us, you can feel confident that you're traveling as responsibly as possible.
Amazing. I love hearing like the pandemic ideas that come to fruition.
Right.
And thank you for, taking that experience you've had, that travel experience, and trying to come up with an idea that, has a positive impact as well. And I think that's something very important, for the person out there who is, doing any type of travel or luxury travel. As you mentioned, it's something that we want to do. And if we're able to, be a little bit more sustainable, it's our responsibility to do that. So let's kind of bring it way back, and then we'll talk a little bit more about your current day initiatives. But how did you very first get started in the travel industry?
Well, it's funny. I was looking for something to do with my life that didn't make me feel tired, and travel was the thing. that really inspired me. And I didn't really know what I was getting into, but I had had a hospitality background and I always loved helping people. And really helping people to travel is the best of all possible worlds because you're finding out what people are dreaming about and then you're helping them do it. And there's just nothing like that in the world. So I come to really love it. Yeah, I started way back in 2000. Well, actually, quite a long time ago. My first travel job was working for an expedite for a destination management company that brought people into Santa Fe, New Mexico. So that was an amazing opportunity to learn about the local culture, especially the indigenous peoples there, and be able to share their culture with people coming into Santa Fe and make those kinds of connections. So that kind of hooked me. And then after that, I was working in expedition travel, mostly selling expedition ships. And those travel all over the world to some of the most remote places. And it is one of the most sustainable ways to travel because it does keep all of your garbage, all of your people and everything on the ship. And you can go to these places that are really pristine and make a very small impact. So that's a really great thing as well. And then after that, as I mentioned, I went into management and did all kinds of things. But that's where I really got the travel bug was between those two places, having kind of this cultural connection, and then diving into deep nature because there's nothing like being in a super remote place like Antarctica or the Galapagos, and just really seeing the power and the beauty of nature is nothing like it.
That's amazing. So, all right, I know this is going to be probably a tough question to answer because you've done a lot. And I always like hearing stories of people who, have these cool experiences. Are there any stories that you can share or experiences that you had where like throughout your career, just like, man, this is what it's all about. Like I'm in this tropical place, this faraway destination. I had this amazing experience and this is something I'll always remember and take away. Is there anything that pops into your mind? I'm sure you have many that you're kind of having to think through, but I always like hearing just those like little moments that, live with you for the rest of your life.
I do have a lot of really special stories like that. The one that comes to mind is I was traveling on a small ship on the Inside Passage in Alaska. Just spectacular scenery. Everything is so vast. It's so much bigger than you ever thought it was going to be. Like I live in the Pacific Northwest. I had no idea that Alaska is like the next level. I mean, it's really just unbelievable. So I'm on this small ship. There's like 80 people on board. All of them just about are up on the front of the ship. They're all out looking for whales. Whales are out front. They're in the water. They're like breaching and people are, looking over and getting really excited. I was sitting all by myself in the lounge. I just wanted to be alone. I needed some alone time. And there was this window on the side of the ship and it was open air. And I remember putting my elbows like this and leaning on the window and I'm looking out and I'm thinking, I wish a whale would come up right here, right where I'm looking, and all those people are up there. And I'm thinking, okay, wouldn't that be amazing? So I'm just sitting here looking out the window and the water's going by. Two incredible whales reached up like this right in front of me, and I was the only person who saw it. I'm just sitting there watching. It was like, oh my God, it was amazing. It was unbelievable. It changed my life. I mean, I've always loved whales, but that was an experience I will absolutely never forget. So
Wow,
that's one of my
that's so
favorites.
cool. And another question that's probably going to be, yeah, that's amazing. And I live in San Diego, so we have whale watching and dolphin watching, and it really is it's an amazing experience. Like getting out to do that. It's one of my favorite things to do out here in San Diego, and I always love bringing my friends who might not even think they'd like it, and then they get out there and they're like, "This is amazing."
Ah,
Yeah.
so powerful and so special. There's nothing more powerful than the natural world, in my view.
Yeah. And then another tough question. Do you have any favorite destinations? Maybe you don't have to pick one or two. I know that's a hard question, but do you have like a
Yeah,
couple that, you just love to visit, love to go for whatever reason that happens to be?
I do. Antarctica is mind blowing. There's nothing like it. It's like going to another planet. You can't even believe where you are. It's so pristine, and the light is super dazzling, and you're setting foot in these places where no one or hardly anyone has ever been. And it's just outrageous. I can't really communicate very clearly. I always stumble over my words trying to describe it because it's so spectacular and so beautiful. So I highly recommend if people are considering going to Antarctica, they think, oh, it's so cold. But it's actually warmer there sometimes than it is on a winter's day in the Midwest. During the season, it's like 20 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's actually kind of balmy if you're from a really cold place. And it's just an unbelievable place. So that's absolutely one of my favorites and probably my all-time favorite trip. Um, After that, I want to bring up Peru. I sent a lot of people to Peru, and the people there are so kind. They're just so present. I think they have such a strong connection to family and to the land, um, that it's just kind of amazing for us because we're not used to people being so friendly and so warm. And like the guides that I work with will invite the travelers back to their house to meet their kids and their family. And it's just a really special, amazing place, not to mention that it's incredibly beautiful. And Machu Picchu and going up into the Andes, it's mystical. It really has a special quality, and people come back, just raving. So highly recommend Peru as well.
Man, yeah, Antarctica has been on the top of my list for there's like I have like an obsession with it right now. It's like I need to get there. Something in the past like couple of years I've just wanted to go so bad. And I just recently read Endurance about Ernest Shackleton's experience, and we had a guest a couple episodes who's an Arctic explorer, and I'm like, man, maybe the stars are aligning that I need to get down there sometime. And for me
Mhm.
personally, the first ever big trip I ever did outside the country was to Peru, and it was truly a life-changing experience. Like coming from a small town in upstate New York to going and seeing just from, Lima to Cusco to Machu Picchu. I'm sure you've done that whole trip. It was so mind-blowingly different and just made me so excited about seeing new cultures and different geographies and mountains and landscapes that didn't even know existed. And it was like, all right, I'm in. How do I keep doing this?
Yeah.
So yeah, that two amazing, amazing places. So in terms of kind of your experience with travel and sustainability, we'll talk about Wild Nectar a little bit more, but just for the average person, what are some kind of simple steps they can take just to be a little bit more sustainable as they start traveling? Do you have any tips or advice on some things people could do?
Absolutely. There are some small things that everybody can do while they're traveling, no matter what kind of trip you're taking. I would say one of the important ones is to bring your own silverware and your own straw, so that if ever anyone hands you a plastic piece of silverware or a straw, just go ahead and take out your own. So that's a little thing you can do. Also, I love my filter water bottle. The one I have is called Life Straw. It means, I traveled all over India with this bottle, sticking it under taps and drinking water from everywhere, having no problems. And what that does is it really saves on plastic bottles. There's so many plastic bottles that travelers use because they don't want to drink the water. So this is a way that you can really control the water that you're drinking and also make sure that you're not using a whole bunch of plastic bottles. When you're buying things to take home, regular tourists call it souvenirs, but I don't think of it that way. It's more like making connection with the place for me and finding something that I really love. I love to buy things that people made. It's really important to buy things that the people locally made the item, and also you know that they were treated fairly and paid fairly, and you're just looking for a good environment and for people to be well treated for the items that you're taking home with you. So that's really important. There's a lot of larger things that you can absolutely do. Of course, you could travel with us. We're digging into the data so that you don't have to. We're trying to make sure that trips that you choose from us are ones that we've vetted. Um, Also, of course, carbon offsetting. I think the aviation industry is probably going to be one of the last industries to come into alignment with sustainability. So, in the meantime, while we're waiting for the electric plane and all those things, um, and different kinds of fuel, I think it's really important to do carbon offsetting, to offset your flights, offset your whole trip. When people travel with us, we look at their trip and all their different transportation modes, and we come up with an amount that we think they should offset. So we can help you do that. And we have a great organization that we do that with as well called Sustainable Travel International. They're a nonprofit. They have amazing projects going. We really believe in what they're doing. So yeah, there are a lot of things, a lot of tips. We have actually a sustainability guide we'd love to share with people. You can find it on our website. So, but there's a lot of things we've been thinking about with regard to traveling sustainably.
Yeah, no, that's great and that's helpful because like for me personally, and I'm sure you have too, I've done a lot of solo travel. I've traveled with small groups of friends. I've also traveled, with the help of agencies, and I've done group travel, and there's pros and cons to every single one. But I actually, when I originally started kind of doing my solo traveling and traveling internationally, I did it more just by myself. And I was like, oh, I'll figure it out. But then I worked for a travel company, and it really turned me on to kind of the things that they have to offer, which is basically like they're the experts. They already know kind of what to do while you're there, the best prices, the best things to see. And that I really like that because it helped me like, sometimes you only have a short window of time to do things, right? And you want to make the most of it. And so talking to those experts that know what they're doing, and even little things like, hey, don't go to this beach, go to the one that's, even though it says this is top rated, go to this one that's half a mile down the road. It's way better, and things like that you would never have the opportunity to know. Or try this restaurant, even though this other one ranks, number one, this one is actually the best one in town. There's little things like that you just never would think about or experience. So I try to find agencies or companies to work with when I go there. Even if I'm solo traveling, I'll still even try to find like a day trip with the company. And then while I'm there, I'll like pick the brain of the guide and try to get as much information as I possibly can. So walk us through sort of an experience with Wild Nectar Immersive Travel Collection. Like what do you guys, from the very beginning on set, what is sort of that experience like all the way to that person steps on a plane and is off to Antarctica or to Alaska or to Peru or to Africa or wherever else it happens to be?
Yeah, we have the word immersive in our name for a reason, and that's because we really want our travelers to get as close to a destination as possible. And the way that works as far as the process of planning a trip, I always check in with the clients and ask them a lot of questions because I want to find out what they love. Things that I love or other people I've helped love are not going to be the same as the ones that the people I'm talking to love. So it's really important to me. Like I was just talking with a client who, they're not that interested in they're going to Peru. They're not that interested in ruins or in archaeology and a lot of the things that are there that people go to see, but they love gardens and they love agriculture. So that gives me an opportunity to say, okay, I work with an amazing group of people, for example, in Peru. Just like you were saying, they're the insiders. They know where all the really fascinating things are. They're not trying to create cookie cutter experiences that they can dash off, 10 at a time. They're really trying to customize for every person. So I can work closely with my colleagues in Peru and we can come up with all kinds of really cool ideas where these people would get to meet some local farmers and learn about agriculture. They would get to have a farm to table lunch and eat some produce that came right off the farm. And, we can take them high up the Andes and we can take them to Moray, which is an Incan agricultural site where the plants were grown at different altitudes. And that might be something be really interesting to them because that was the Incas trying to figure out how to grow the best plants. So again, trying to keep the client's interests in mind. That's where we start to design the trip. So once I learn as much as I can about what the travelers are interested in, if it's a custom trip, then of course I'm going to create it from scratch. If they're going somewhere like the Galapagos or Antarctica, they're going to need to take a ship, in my view, because it's going to, again, be the most sustainable way to go. It's also the deepest experience. In my experience, you get to see the most animals. So if they need to have a ship as part of their program, we'll work on that. Maybe I'll give them a selection of a few to choose from based on their travel style. And then once they've selected their ships or the different things they would like to do, then I create a custom program for them and show it to them and make sure it's exactly what they're hoping for. And they make their deposit. And then they wait with great anticipation. We try to give them lots of information about their destination. Also, we have a really great phone app that we use. So your whole trip will be on your phone, all your documents, all the instructions. Or when you get off the plane, you're just looking at your phone. Okay, what do I do now? So you don't have to have those kind of jittery feelings of like, oh, I'm in a foreign country and how do I navigate? So we do a lot of things to help you make that as easy as possible as well. So then you're just on your way and having an amazing time. So that's the journey of working with us. It's very personalized. It's all about you and what your travel dreams are. I knew when I started this company that even though my passion is sustainability, I also knew that my passion for travel and also my understanding of what luxury travelers need, which is a lot of high touch service, that absolutely had to be an element of the company. I couldn't just start a sustainable travel company. I also have to have the best, most hands-on, most exciting travel company in the world so that people will get excited about traveling sustainably as well. So that's my goal.
That's amazing. And you brought something up that kind of gave me like flashbacks of my travel experiences. It's like no matter how prepared you are, you're in the airport in a new country, you're nervous, there's a new language, you like can be overwhelming. So imagine how helpful that would be just to have like all of that kind of ready to go. Cause sometimes I don't do that. I don't prepare. I just land and I'm like, all right, I'll figure it out. And then it's like, whoa, this is crazy. And that can kind of take away, from the experience because if you're nervous and you're kind of like on edge, you don't really get to look around and experience it. You're more sort of bottled up in your own sort of world. So I can imagine just having that ease and that comfort of knowing, exactly kind of where to go, all the documents, all the people you need to connect with, takes a lot of that sort of anxiety and stress out of it and allows you to just, take a deep breath, even on the taxi or whatever it is, from the airport to your hotel. You can just look around and like soak in the culture versus like, am I getting kidnapped right now? So
Sure.
that is really interesting to think about. Do you have any really cool kind of exciting trips or experiences that you're looking forward to either planning with clients or going on yourself coming up in the next 6 months, 12 months?
Well, I'm the CEO and founder of a startup, so I don't have a lot of free time, as you can well imagine. Um, I'm actually not going to be traveling in the near future, although I have a lot of places that I would very much like to go. When you ask me about exciting trips, maybe things I've never done that I would really love to do, I mean, there's an icebreaker called the Commandant Charcot that's traveling both to the North Pole and doing a half circumnavigation of Antarctica. I mean, those would be like my dream trips.
Uh,
I'd really love to do that. I love being on ships. I love to see the animals and the birds and just being out there on the prow of a ship with all the wind in my hair. It's just one of my favorite things. So I totally dream about doing those polar trips. Um, and then I've never been personally to Southeast Asia, so I really need to get over there and check out Vietnam and Thailand and places like that. I have been to Indonesia, which is incredible. But I definitely have some trips on my bucket list that I can't wait to get to.
well, that's the thing about traveling is like the more you do it, the more you realize there's all these new, different, unique places you want to go to. And then you get somewhere and then you talk to a local or another traveler, and then you got to go visit this. It's a really interesting experience. I don't know if there's a word for it, but like, you say, for example, I want to go to Thailand, right? Like just to go to Thailand would be an amazing experience. But then you get to Thailand and you're in Koh Phi Phi and you're like, man, now I'm in Koh Phi Phi. But then you talk to someone else, that they're like, well, now there's this cool cove you have to visit. And then you're in this cool cove and then you have to go. It's like a very interesting experience. You realize like both how big and how small the world is. And I think it's really important, for people to travel and experience those things. So, um, first off, Joy, thank you for coming on and talking to us today. Second, appreciate, all the things you're doing for the travel and sustainable industry. It's really important, as we continue to become a world traveling, global civilization, we really have to keep that in mind. You mentioned, 8% of emissions come from this industry. And then last, we're very excited to announce and have you be a speaker at our upcoming event in April, EarthX. So if you're listening and are interested in learning more about sustainable travel, Wild Nectar Immersive Travel Collection, or just talking to Joy, she'll be there. So we hope to see you there. And Joy, I'm looking forward to officially meeting you and learning more about, everything you're working on. And I know we've got a couple more interviews lined up over the next couple months, which I'm excited about because I could talk about this all day. We'll keep diving a little bit deeper and hopefully we'll cross paths, out on the Antarctic Ocean or something.
Oh, Dylan, it's so great to be here. Thank you so much. And yeah, me too. I can talk about travel forever and ever. It never gets old. Uh, Relating to what you were just saying, there are many places out there that we'll never even know about that are
Mhm.
so beautiful that could blow your mind. So I like thinking about that because I like exploring, like thinking about the undiscovered. What could be out there that we don't even have an idea exists.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. Real quick, just a quick plug. Like, what's a good way if people are interested in learning more or getting in contact? What's the best way to do that?
So go to our website, wildnectarcollection.com, and take a look at our trips. You can also get there by going wildnectartravel.com. Um, and also, yes, I mean, email. I'm joy at wildnectarcollection.com. I'd love to help you plan an amazing trip.
Awesome. Joy, thank you again. Appreciate you coming on the show. We'll talk soon. And to everybody who is supporting the show, listens, watches, shares. We really appreciate it. Our goal is to continue to bring you really interesting business leaders, thought leaders, explorers, researchers who are out doing, positive things for the planet right here into your earbuds. And, want to thank Joy for being here. So stay tuned. Appreciate your support. We'll see you on the next episode of the Green Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into the episode. My name is Dylan Welch. Appreciate it. As always, stay up to date with the latest information on green.org and dylanwelch.com. Dylan Welch Media is a full-service media and communications agency dedicated to promoting, marketing, and helping businesses in clean tech, renewable energy, and sustainability grow, get more clients, get more customers, get in front of their ideal clientele. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. If you're interested in joining the Green Summit, go to www.green-summit.org. Reserve your ticket today. There's very few spots left, so make sure you get on that ASAP. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.